Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Hi folks, Cryptic Cricket here. Today, we're going to have a look at a homemade solar still. This one is a scaled down version of what someone would put together to supply potable water to a household, but it still works on the same principles. A solar still has a lot in common with the Earth's hydrological cycle. Just like with the Earth's hydrological cycle, heat from the sun converts surface water into water vapor, which rises into the sky and eventually condenses back into water droplets when it's cooled. In the case of the solar still, water vapor rises and comes in contact with the cooler glass cover of the still, which condenses the vapor back into water droplets on the glass. The glass acts as our wind, which then transports the water droplets to a new location where it eventually falls back to Earth. Earth, in our case, is a collection container. Okay, so that's how a solar still works. Understand? Now I'll show you a few details about how I built mine. A solar still of this design starts by finding a discarded piece of plate glass, maybe from a building renovation resale shop like Habitat for Humanity. Most full-size solar stills use a piece of glass from a discarded sliding glass patio door. I'm just building a hobby version, so I'm looking for a much smaller piece of glass. A 2-foot by 4-foot sheet of glass can process about 1 gallon of water a day. A sheet of glass about the size of a door can process about 3 gallons of water a day. This sheet of glass turned out to be 3.3 square feet of glass. Depending on the efficiency of my still, I should be able to process somewhere under a half a gallon of water a day with this size still. We're going to need some more things to create the parts of our still. We're going to need some PVC pipe to catch the water droplets as they roll off the glass. I made my catchment tube from thin wall PVC pipe. Both ends of our catchment tube have fittings. One end gets an end cap, and the other end gets an elbow. One end of the elbow has a pipe thread in it so that you can screw a nipple into it. We're going to attach a piece of plastic tubing to the nipple to drain the water into a catchment container. We also need some lumber to build the basin that holds the raw water for our still. The basin has to be designed to fit the piece of glass that you have to work with. Because our piece of glass is a tempered glass, if you try to cut it, it'll break in all kinds of weird ways, and you'll have to throw it away and start over. So, design and build your still's basin to fit your piece of glass. To create a bottom for my basin, I actually used a piece of exterior grade plywood that fit down inside of a recess that I cut into the bottom edge of each sideboard. After the bottom was glued and tacked into place, I flipped the whole thing over and then ran a bead of waterproof wood glue into all the corners. I used waterproof wood glue on every joint during the assembly of this box. The water droplet collection tube runs the entire length of the front edge of the box. I'm just going to use a Dremel here and sort of open up these holes so that that tube will fit in here better. The water droplet collection tube needs to be opened up so that the piece of glass can slide down inside of it. So I'm going to slide the piece of glass in there now and use it as a straight edge to know where to make my cut. Just in case the black silicone rubber coating that we're going to use to seal this box gets a leak, let's seal the wood with a good primer. To open up my PVC pipe to make room for the glass and the water droplets, I used a Dremel tool with a cutoff disc. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, a rotary tool or a Dremel is one of the handiest things you could possibly own. With the tube opened up, you can see here that there's enough space for the glass and the water droplets to slide down the glass and into the tube. As recommended by others who've done this in the past, I'm going to use 100% silicone caulk to coat the inside of our basin. The caulk needs to be a black color because you want it to absorb the rays of the sun and heat up the water. The heat will turn the water into vapor, and of course that's what makes our solar still work. The layer of silicone doesn't have to be real thick, but it does have to be complete because you're trying to waterproof the inside of this box. You need to work quickly because the silicone, once it sets up, is very difficult to trowel. I saved the joint corners for last, and I applied my silicone with a finger. This worked real well. The silicone starts to set up in about 10 minutes, but it'll take a full 24 hours to cure. We're getting close to launch here, folks. Just need to finish assembling the water droplet catch tube, install it, and then seal up the leaks around the glass with some tape. Whoops! I almost forgot to install the fill tube. The solar still needs a way to get the water into the still without taking the glass off. I made mine from a piece of CPVC pipe that I bent with some heat and an elbow. After installing the glass and then sealing it with tape, I filled the still up with water and let it run for a couple hours. Florida sunshine and an air temperature of 90 degrees got that still working real fast. I took the glass off of the still and then measured the water temperature inside the still, and within a couple of hours the sun had that water temperature up to 127 degrees. I ran the still for 2 full days, measuring the amount of water that I got from the still each day. The first day was much sunnier than the second day, but on both days I got 3 1/8 cups of water from the still for a full day out in the sun. Comparing my results against the results of other people who've built stills, I've got some kind of efficiency deficiency here, and I think I know what it is. I don't think my still is sealed up well enough, and as a result, I'm losing a lot of my water vapor to leakage. I think some of my water vapor is steaming up the neighborhood instead of filling up my catchment container. I believe that I can get more output from this still than what I'm getting now. I've got several ideas on how to reduce the leakage of air, and that may help raise the temperature inside of the still, making it more efficient. It should also reduce the water vapor loss, which means more of it will end up in my catchment container. Give me a week and I'll have a renovation and results video for you with the new ideas implemented. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with some links to more information about solar stills, information about other designs or prototypes that people have built and tested. I'll put those links in the video description box down below this video. Alright, folks. Well, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day. Stay safe. Tune in next week for the follow-up video because it's going to be fantastic.